Hello and welcome to the Matchbook Betting Exchange Irish Greyhound Derby podcast. Yes, indeed, we have a week down, just 5 more to go, PL. As always, as you can see, I am joined by the master, Paul Lawrence, and we saw plenty in the opening round to whet the appetite. It sort of just left us wanting more, really. Not an awful lot more clarity about the competition, PL, but at the same time, it's fairly safe to assume that this is going to be fairly competitive going forward. I've said it in a couple of places already. I don't think there'll be as many odds-on chances in this year's Derby as there have been in the last couple. It looks like there's plenty of depth. You know, we've had the very established performers performing. 1 or 2 were beaten, 1 or 2 won. And then there was a few of the youngsters that really stepped up to the plate. So a great mix. I think it's safe to say, though, it's a deep Derby.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think I said to you last week, I think it should have been sort of an 8-1, maybe 10-1 the field. And I noticed now Bocco's Diamond obviously got beaten in the opening round, but he's kind of just drifted out that little bit now, and it's got that. Yeah, I think it's a wide open Derby, and I think you're right. There's some of the youngsters coming through that actually they're only at the start of the curve, if you like, so they can easily go forward as Bocco's Diamond did throughout the Derby last year. So yeah, that's what I have kind of been looking at, and funny enough, some of the picks that we've put up, I'm still really sweet on. And I know that Magical Major got knocked out, and he was a bit unlucky, to be fair to him, where the dog checked off in front of him. But I'm quite happy with some of the dogs that I think will do well in the Derby, and I'm still of the same. And there's one other dog that I think now I'm a believer. So, yeah.
Oh, have no fear. We'll get to him yet, PL. We will get to him. Before we get really stuck into it, just a reminder to new customers with Matchbook Betting Exchange. POD50 is the code. If you want to join Matchbook, you get £50 back as a free bet once you've had £50 worth of bets. And of course, don't forget the Track Club. Place €30 or £30 worth of bets over Monday to Thursday. You get a tenner back as a free bet on the Friday for the weekend's action. So 2 reasons to stick with us here at Matchbook. If you don't have an account, well, £50 in free bets. I don't know what could be wrong with that. Anyway, let's get straight into it, PL. Let's talk about the giant shadow that continues to loom over that anti-post market. He's done so in the English Derby, and he certainly did so in last year's Irish Greyhound Derby, and he was beaten for only the 2nd time on Irish soil, and the 1st time ever at Shelbourne Park he has suffered defeat. Bocco's Diamond. You can fall into one of 2 camps as far as I can see. There's not too many to fall into any other camps. He's either not as good as he once was, or he will improve considerably for it. He badly needed the outing. I'm not going to say he was lacking in fitness, but he certainly looked like he was lacking in real sharpness. Now, it is worth saying that Epic Ace, the dog that did lower his colours eventually, is probably as sharp and as good as any greyhound in training when he traps, and that is the issue. Yeah. He did trap, and he did get up the inside of Bocco's Diamond. Yeah. So I think, you know, the fact that Epic Ace was coming into it, you know, razor sharp, having come through the Irish Sprint Cup, as opposed to Bocco's Diamond, who was having his first start since the middle of June, I think it was a perfectly reasonable display by Bocco's Diamond. But at the same time, I've kept my powder dry, even though he's 1 less round to go through. He has stuck out, as you said, a half a point to point in places. And he's not far off being tempting, but maybe just wouldn't mind 1 more look at him, by which time it could be too late.
Well, it is, because in his 2nd round, he looks like he's got an outstanding chance. So you're one of those where you've either got to make your mind up now, because if he does what you think he can do on Saturday, it'll be much shorter. And I think you've said this quite a lot through our anti-post assessments earlier in the round. When you've gone early, you've said about, for instance, Ballinabola Ed and Bocco's Diamond. These dogs at some stage pretty shortly are going to be 2-1 favourite for an anti-post market such as this. So you're right, you have to make your mind up. I mean, I've got the opinion that I don't think he's quite the same dog. I just don't think he is quite the same dog. As I said to you last week, I'm not crabbing him because he's still a fast dog, but he hasn't got that air of invincibility. Don't get me wrong, Epic Ace, I thought he gave him a great tussle. You know, Patrick put in a squad of 9, and I think he got 6 of them through.
And one of them wasn't Magical Major, unfortunately. You know, the pitfalls of anti-post betting.
But obviously, and again, one of the dogs that I stuck up as a dog that I thought would go well, Droopy's Patriot. He ran in the bar one in Dundalk. This dog who beat Bocco's Diamond ran in the same competition, Epic Ace. And so, it's always that there's still good quality, I think, to come out of when you look at early pace. That obviously, when you're looking at Broadstrand Sid, is one of the fastest dogs for two bends anywhere. That all these dogs are thundering into the turn. Now, all of a sudden, like you said last week, they've got the freedom of Shelbourne Park, and Epic Ace certainly did that. He looked really impressive.
Yeah, he certainly did. And there was movement up towards the sort of top end of the market. Obviously, Bombay Pat was Bombay Pat. In the early rounds of competition, he just destroys good dogs. It's until he really meets 5 or 6 great dogs that you're just concerned about his trapping. But we knew he was going to get a seam the other night, and that happened. After one stride, it's over as a contest. He flew into the corner, destroyed his rivals, 29-27, fastest time of the opening round. He's in around 8-1, a fraction bigger if you go really shopping for it, but you may struggle to get on. Let's say it's not like the exchanges where if it's there, it's there. Also, Droopy's Patriot was mighty, mighty impressive. Just came off the track very, very tired. 1 or 2 little concerning sort of reports about him. Proper ARS was good without being sensational, but I think he's been priced now with the promise that more will come from him and the fact that he has the back catalogue. I think he's now at a price where people and there is a lot of money coming for him. We've been told with the firms, but it is mainly from your side of the water, obviously, rather than our side of the water. But that's understandable. He is your champion over there, and there's no doubt he can improve on what he did the other evening. I suppose his backers are just encouraged that he's had his one run there in tricky enough company, made light enough work of the task, mighty impressive from Proper ARS. And now all of a sudden he's bang there in contention. Carrick Scoldsy in next, alongside the likes of Cheap Sandwiches, 2 dogs who we know their quality. They will actually meet in the next round. Hackney Corner. I'm sure we will definitely talk about this fellow. I was really taken by him, PL. So fluent in victory. Callaway Kinnegar is there at 22. I wouldn't back him with a 0 at the end, I'll be honest. He just didn't look the same Greyhound. Lenny's Dream, mighty impressive for Paul Hennessy. He had a strange first round, Paul Hennessy. Boyle Sports Bob disqualified. Lenny's Desire going out, just trying to run into himself and other dogs, I'm afraid. And then Epic Ace, who seems to be nearly the forgotten dog, even though he did lower the colours of Bocco's Diamond. It's more Bocco's Diamond's been spoken of than Epic Ace. I suppose we did know how good he was. But of the youngsters, the one that really did catch the eye, Rolo Tokyo. And there he is in around 24 to 1. 29-29, he put it all together. And what I really like about him is we know he can go to the third bend. From the third bend home, he was as strong as any dog, certainly in a winning position. That was expanding energy early. He stayed on better than any of them, and I suppose that's impressive. Of the ones we've looked at thus far, PL, where are you at? I'm not unhappy with my Hackney Corner wager, I must be said.
No, I'm really happy with him. Really happy with him. I was really impressed with him, and I actually think there's more to come. Obviously, he's switched now to Pat Buckley. I thought his trials were good enough going into the competition, as I said to you before. And I was really impressed with the early pace that he showed. It was a kind of a moderate break, but it was real raw early pace that took him to the front. So you've always got that added bonus that if he does take one out of the traps, it'll be even further in front. His sexual to the third bend was very good. I've been trying to keep a note on those on the cards that I've got. So I think it's always a good tool to have. Yeah, I'm a little bit worried now. You've said about Droopy's Patriot. I thought Droopy's Patriot was awesome. I thought he was absolutely devastating. I thought his early pace. I've always liked his early pace. I've just caught him from the first round. As I said to you, I think he came 4th in the first round of the Tralee Juvenile. He caught my eye then, and he just went on and won the competition. I really, really like him. I like Robert a lot, and I know that he's got his team in good shape. It's a bit of a worry you've said that about him being a bit tired, but then maybe that's just to be expected because that was his first 550. I thought he saw it out really well, I've got to tell you. And he was still in front easily at the next bend after. So I'm not going to be too worried about that. And again, I think he'll be okay. Lenny's Dream probably will shift off a little bit from 1. But I think if he broke level, that would probably encourage her not to move out as much. and I think he'll just blow her for early. And I think he'll hold Shanahi Boomer in the first round as well. So he'd be a dog. I've actually topped up. I've got to tell you the truth. I've topped up in the anti-post market. I took 16s. I thought it was totally and utterly wrong. I took him at 20s. I know the kennel got him at 33s, but I'm quite happy because I think he's a really quick dog. So he would be probably, I think, an ounce of value still left in the anti-post market. And I agree with you about Hackney Corner as well. That said he was devastated. My one dog that I think I now am a believer, and I think you did something with Ryan Keneally, didn't you? He stuck up Bombay Pat. Bombay Pat is now putting it together. He's really, really impressed me. His early pace is incredible. Yeah, he's just not quite seed it out in the last few meters. Will that catch him out at a later stage? But I think now, Ian, I think actually his trapping has got a little bit on the consistent side. So I think he's a dangerous dog now in this Irish Derby.
That's now 3 races in a row where he's basically started on terms, which by his standards is like that. That's the equivalent of a flying start for anything else. Because as you said, he's always had that awesome acceleration, but it's not as easy to accelerate when you're 2 lengths behind dogs. Whereas he's now breaking level and then all of a sudden getting going. And yeah, I think he's probably the most solid dog towards the top of the market, where there's not really any concerns. You know, we love Shelbourne Park. He was desperately lucky not to reach the final last year. He probably is good, if not better, due to consistency reasons this year than he was last year. And yeah, he's pretty much bomb-proof. Like, he was the one dog that's been cut in the market. You go, yeah, I can see that. He's the one dog you wouldn't like to be laying at double figure odds. 8-1 now, 10.5 in the exchange. Still a bit of juice there. You know what I mean? Like, I can see him, like, in hindsight, having seen the second round draw. We're going to speak about it now. I think one of the firms went up 4-6 earlier this week. I genuinely wouldn't lay him at 1-3. No. I honestly thought his makeup was perfect, and I just cannot see how he doesn't win on the weekend coming. So you're already into the third round. You know, you're into the one night where they're all together for the first time, and then all of a sudden 2 or 3 more races in the final. And I agree with you, bomb-proof. I just want to go down just 1 or 2 more that we didn't quite get to. Just after the likes of Callaway Kinnegar, again, disappointing. I'd be avoiding him. The laddie da just continues to impress us. You know, what a dog he's been, just incredible. And you know, you can say he never really got a chance to get out into top gear. He's he's kept finding a bit of traffic, but he waits and he's more patient now than he ever was. And just when the gap opened up, just went through it. Lovely. Wins with a double handful. Ballinabola Joe can be a touch frustrating, PL, but what he did show was absolutely awesome back straight pace after a completely fluff start. You know, he will find his trapping boots at some point through this derby, and I've no doubt that there's a big run coming from him. Now, as it is with his makeup in the next round, I think he's around 2-1 on, so there's no value looking for him this week, but it is one to keep in mind. We know how talented he is. You just like to see him putting it all together. Like, we're in a derby now, mistakes can be costly.
Exactly, and he hasn't, and that is the worry, Ian, is that, yeah, you're right. You know, he's a talented dog. And again, he was in the Tralee Juvenile. He came second to Droopy's Patriot. And he's put in some good runs. And he put in some spectacular runs in Toaster in the early rounds of the Derby. And then he just fluffed his lines. And he was a little bit unlucky because the danger is, I've got to tell you the truth. Look, I'm not, you know, I'd never tell Pat Buckley what to do. But if he was mine, he wouldn't have a wide on him. I'd have him middle, because I want him on the inside. The reason I say that is because he's cutting the bend. And when you're missing your break and you can't get clear at the first turn, you need every help you can get. So I'd rather have a couple of dogs on my outside where I haven't got to clear so many on the inner. As I say, he's a fast dog, and I love him to bits, but he's now getting into the very, very frustrating tray because of his starting. And what he's doing is, Ian, he's standing up in the traps. He's not down and ready. He's standing up with the traps are opening, and then he's going. And you can't afford to do it at this level. You just cannot afford to do that. You're right. He's short in his second round heat, and he should qualify all right. But I couldn't trust him to back him at 1-2, I think, whatever he is. I just couldn't, because of his starting at the moment. And he is now getting very, very frustrating. Very frustrating.
Yeah, no,
Because
I'm with you. I'm with you on all that. Is there anything else that just caught your eye in the anti-post market that maybe there's a touch of value about? Because listen, we've seen them all. There's one or two did catch the eye in defeat, but once you get after 25 to 1, and there's quite a good few of them in there, down to that price, you start getting into sort of not just needing a bit of luck, they need to find a length or two. And that's the issue. If they haven't found it now, there's no point in looking unless they're young. The established ones that are any lower than that, it's difficult enough to make a real true Derby case for them. Although, at the price that they are, maybe there's each way value on show.
Yeah, there's a couple of strongish sort of running dogs as well. Balamak Tibet, I thought around 50s, he'll keep qualifying. And I thought Magical Sapphire as well. I thought she was another one that hammers home. So, and she can trap. So when they can put themselves into a position, Ian, some of those early pacers who need to lead to win, they can't all lead. So if they're on the outside, they can get the good runs through, and then they can keep going and qualify in the closing stages. So there would be a couple of greyhounds I would look at around 50s or something like that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm not going to go down too much more. There's plenty I'm looking at going. They can run well in heats, but I don't think I'd particularly fancy him to win a Derby or anything like it. So can we move on from the anti-post book for the moment? You'd be remiss. Not remiss. You'd be reluctant to lay Bocco's Diamond at 5-6 to 1, but he's still not a price where you could back him.
No, exactly. And as I say to you, he's got to be at the top of the market because of his course and distance runs from last year. He has had a couple of prep runs which, over the four bends have been okay. As you say, his sprint was really good in Cork, and then his four bends were not quite as good. And we know he's a front runner. We know he got taken on for the lead in the first round, and he couldn't quite kind of get up and keep his record in Shelbourne. But I think he's got a great chance in the second round. So it's really, if you're in the Bocco's Diamond camp and you're a believer, then you probably need to be betting him now, because after Friday, he could get much shorter. So it's one of those. It's just a dilemma at the moment. I just can't be having him at that short. So
yeah, there is a point to be made that a lot of the dogs that ran in the English Derby were left shy. There was no question. They were left shy of work. Just give them as much time to get fully back themselves, and then try to get them through the competition. We saw Solomeo going out. Bubbly Charger went out. They just didn't get the run in, and they probably needed first season dogs. Takes an awful lot out of them. You go through a Kirby and then an English Derby. It's a big ask to go through an Irish Derby as well.
100%.
Solomeo actually did catch the eye in defeat, but that's no use to his anti-post backers, I'm afraid. Maybe he'll be able to, after a week's break, get back for the Derby plate. I don't know, but it is noticeable that Cheap Sandwiches wasn't at his brilliant best either. He was workmanlike, and he did plenty to suggest he's now starting to find himself again. But even dogs that didn't go down that road, Seven Beach, I know he's approaching 4 years of age, but I got the impression that he's gone in fairly undercooked, and I would suggest he'll continue to prove through the competition. Given his age, and Jennifer's a very smart cookie, I would suggest she's gone, we need to leave this dog 80% and hope that he finds 5% each week on week, or 4% week on week, and I suppose that's where we're at. So just be aware that the market will fluctuate pretty considerably over the next fortnight. There's no question about it. One flashy run and Bocco's Diamond could be 3 to 1 again. Or Bombay Pat missed the kick and gets beaten at Tucson, but qualifies in second. He could be 12s again. It can happen. Now it would need other dogs to step up the plate and remind them of how good they are. Certainly, if Proper ARS produced a big run again, there's a weight of money coming for him from the UK. The fact that he's come over, people feel like they nearly have to support him. And if he does a big run the second round, that 16 to 1 will quickly disappear as well. So just be aware of that. Once you're able to get in and get out of the market, you're in a good shape, especially with the exchanges, where you can have that opportunity to lay off some if you wish, lay off your stake even, and just keep whatever you've got in your in the sort of equity running for you. But let's look at the two nights. Pierre, anything to add there on that?
No, a fellow messaged me about Proper Heiress actually on Twitter, or private messaged me, and he said, "What price would you want to back him? What price do you think he'll be?" And I said, "Well, I think they'll probably go something like a 12 him, but I'd want 20s," and they actually went 25s. And I am Denard, and we did the podcast last week, and I didn't even have a Dina on him, and yet, we had the advantage that we saw the trial, and he ran off out the second bend, and he didn't really take the third and fourth bend. You think, well, he's left a mile on the track, and he proved that what a good dog he is. He's just one of those dogs as well, Ian, that he's a good starter. And I think at Shelbourne, especially if you're in red on the inside and you start, they've got to get around you. And he looks a tailor-made dog for Shelbourne, and he was impressive, to be fair to him. And as you say, it just adds to the flavour of this derby, and it just makes it that little bit more exciting. But I do actually think there's a lot of pace in his heat. Yeah, you're right. We should probably look at the heats.
Yeah. Just on the Proper Heiress, Kevin Hennessy said to me, he says, you just got the sense he never even put himself down the back straight. He never really put the hammer down at any point. He was still getting to know the place, and to go round in 29.45, and you're looking at him going, he's still haven't engaged top gear. That's only encouraging. Yeah, it's only encouraging.
It is.
Mark Wallace knows the time of day. He's gonna try and arrive there in the latter rounds in peak condition, and he'll come on for whatever runs he's had in the meantime. Let's go through the heats. There are 16 of them. I'm sure we won't have any interests in each and every one of them, but there are one or two that stand out to me, particularly on the second night. I must say, the opening heat, it's tricky. Lenny's Dream, Droopy's Patriot. I think I'll want to watch this heat, just given the fact that Droopy's Patriot just was under a bit of a cloud after the racing. Now, I hear since that he's reported in good nick. If he does produce his best, like, he's going to be very, very difficult to beat here. Although Lenny's Dream is razor sharp at boxes, that's not a fluke start by her. Kevin Hennessy tells me that she's just a dynamite trapper. Shanahy Boomer is the other one that can go up strongly, but it's sort of difficult to look past those four, really.
If they break level, Toe will blow a hole in them, and that Patriot will blow a hole in them, because Lenny's Dream is a trapper. But it's what you said, and she's a trapper, and that's it. She's a trapper, and she keeps going. But this Droopy's Patriot is a Derby class dog, and he's got good early pace, so he actually is a bet for me. So.
We'll move on to the second heat, where Ballymacdanica and Seven Beach clash. Throw in Callaway 5, Fahy Phantom, Kusain Pickles. It's a lot of quality. Seven Beach will only improve for his latest run. I stuck him in favourite myself. Ballymacdanica was impressive. She did everything right. Thorough professional, but I just can't get out of my head the night that Seven Beach charged away from her down the back straight in the Champion Stakes final. Fahy Phantom will need to find his trapping boots. He showed foot. Callaway 5, I have no doubt the track was 30 back for him. The first two races on Saturday night, there'd been heavy rain. An hour or two before racing, they probably wouldn't have overly placed it at that point. So I think it was running 20 or 30 spots faster, literally a half an hour later. So just upgrade his run, Callaway 5. I just wouldn't ignore him. And there was money for Kusain Pickles after a layoff, and that is encouraging. But a tricky contest. Anything at the price is
hard eat. That it is a hard eat. I'll kind of just siding with Danica, because I thought she might be able to outstart him and get to the front. But you're right, Callaway 5's got a fair bit of early. Seven Beach is Seven Beach. He's just a lovely dog. Fahy Phantom is a dog that I really liked. He ran in he was really impressive in the first round of the Corkham race, and then he got knocked out in the semis. But yeah, he's a dog I like. And as you say, Kusain Pickles, you can never write her off, because she'll keep going. Swithin's Jim's no mug either. So I think that's a really hot heat. Really hot.
It's very hot. The Laddie Daz out in trap 4, and this is going to be one of those races where, what price is he? What's too short? What's too big? Because it's not his draw, although he's much better suited by a middle than he would have been in his youth these days. He's cute enough to pick his spots and wait for the gaps to arrive. And the odds are the gap will arrive, but I suspect there'll be a much improved display by Ballyhooly Bruno. I actually quite liked his opening round run. He would have badly needed it returning after a layoff. He is a classic winner. Magical Mag was 1-2 to beat Ballymac. Actually, she missed a kick and never really got going. She found traffic. She's capable of so much better. So the Laddie Da will be a worthy favourite, but it's just not that straightforward.
No, it's not. It's
not.
What way did you land?
6-4, 7-4, shorter?
Yeah, yeah. I actually favour Mag because I think Magical Mag can track better. When she I mean, you're looking at yardsticks for in the early rounds of the Derby and with Bench and Bombay Pat. I mean, Bombay Pat outpaced her, but she put herself into the contest and put in a really good run. And I just fancy that she could claim the inside here. And then I don't think Ballyhooly, Bruno, and Deladi Dar will get round her, and I don't think they're back running her either.
No.
So that's my take in it. I think you're right. They're probably the three runners in the middle there because she's on the inside. I think she's about 2-1. Deladi Dar's evens. As much as I love Deladi Dar, I think he's got a tricky draw in. He'll qualify. I'm sure he'll qualify. But I thought he was more kind of
anybody that wants to back Deladi Dar, don't even consider backing him at evens or 11-10 because I can promise you that he will be 6-4 minimum on the night. There's no question in that draw he will be much bigger than the even money available.
Yeah, I'll agree with you. Yeah.
Bucco's Diamond is 4-7. Rollo Tokyo 5-2. We're not going to talk about the rest. Fate Point Harvey is a decent dog, but he won't be able to live with them if they produce what they can. I just think from the draw, I'd be mighty surprised if Bucco's Diamond wasn't 3 clear into the back straight. And therein lies your problem with the anti-post betting. Do you go or do you not? Do you stick or do you twist? Because even if he's not the greyhound he once was, if he's 2 lengths off it, he'll still win this probably by 2 or 3 lengths in 29-20. And you're going, I should have had a nibble.
Yeah, that's exactly what it'll be. Rollo Tokyo actually impressed me. I didn't realise that he had that much early pace. That was the best, I think, early pace I've seen him show. He was in the same 500-yard competition in Tralee where Magical Luca kept breaking the track records. He was in behind him.
No. He ran in Dundalk in the Carroll Memorial.
Wow, was it?
Yeah.
It
was an A3 stake. It was an A3 stake in Dundalk. Yeah.
That's where I saw him. Yeah,
no, he's a fast dog. I saw him. I saw him in Dundalk. Obviously, he went very quick. It wasn't too far off the clock in the 5-2-5-yard trip. But what I'd actually got a word about him before he'd even run his first race, just from the breeder saying, keep an eye on this fella, he can run. And so I have followed his journey, and I'll be honest, I didn't expect what I saw last week from him. So impressed by the way he ran from the third bend home. Like, yes, it's impressive to the third bend, but the fact that he does the 12-20, having done that run to the third bend, is so impressive. And I would suggest that he's around to stay. I don't think that's going to be a flash in the pan. I think he's going to be a proper greyhound going forward. It's very much a 2-dog race, but 4-7 there about Bucco's Diamond. I think as odds on goes, I think that's okay.
So do I.
Yeah. Moving on, I have no real opinion in the next tease. It's a 5-dog affair. Check for Cash is on long odds on to lead, but there are a lot of strong runners who are going to get in behind them, and it's not a race for me. They'll come for Toolmaker Giuseppe. They always do. Like, as well as he did to get up and win last week, I didn't think he was in any way, shape, or form impressive. It just sort of fell in his lap a bit. If he doesn't lead the likes of the Bull Falcon or Hotwood or Upper Horgan, he's no chance. I thought it was an encouraging run by the Bull Falcon. He looked like he was just showing a glimpse back.
Yeah, he got dragged back a little bit around the last 2 bends. Yeah, I agree with you. There's probably more to come from the Bull Falcon because you'd imagine that it will come on for that run massively.
Yeah. Heat 6, I'll be honest, I've already had a bet in Heat 6. They're going sort of around the even money mark. Hello, Diego. I'm a fan. I thought he ran very, very well in the opening round. He's not a dog I would ever back less than 4-1. I prefer him in harder races, running at a big price for me. I couldn't back him at that price. Looking Lep is in around 4-1, 5-1. It's a nice dog. He's running well. I couldn't have him at the price. I backed Headley's Trump first thing at 10-1. He's got a great makeup. I thought he ran very well the other night. And he was the race after Callaway 5. Callaway 5 on the 30 spot slow. I think the track was still 30 spots slow when Headley's Trump ran. So I would greatly upgrade his run. And I thought the 10-1 was huge. Honestly, I think I'd make him about a 3-1 chance.
I'm gobsmacked. It was 10-1. He's got a big chance of leading this race. Big chance on the inside. I was impressed with his early pace, Ian. So well done. I hope you draw. I think Hello Diego, is probably the right favourite, but he's still got to do it right, and he's still got to go round. He has got a good draw because Razzle Dazzle Kamari is going to go in for him, going to move in a little bit. But you're always a bit of a hostage of fortune really with
Yeah.
Hello Diego, because he still needs the run. He still needs to get the run and be
And
close enough to then use that finishing
the
kick.
rest of them are just quick enough that they might be up his inside, forcing him even wider than normal, and that's the
Exactly.
issue. If Headley's Trump
No, it's
gets
a
a
good
3 or
bet.
4 lengths on him, that's huge. You know what I mean? Doing
I'm
29.50 on
impressed.
the bunny, come and pick me, like.
I'm impressed with that one. I'm impressed with that one. Very good.
It wasn't expert picking. He was in drop one. He was 10-1. I made him a 3-1 chance. That'll do. We move on to heat now. Listen, he might be working out to me at this stage. You know what I mean? Heat 7 is very, very tricky. It's about what gets loose early. Solo and Go is probably the most likely pace setter, but he just has to clear Brickhill Moana while she's a big, big price. She took a fair step to her right the last night. Oreo Wally, I thought he ran very well in defeat behind the Laddie Da. And then Ballymac Axel, much like proper RS, he looked like there was lengths to come from him. Just looked like he just never really let himself fully down and go.
No, I agree.
Now, we're not always going to expect him to lead like that. You know, he's very strong. We know that. But I'll tell you something. He is in form. He was coming into form before he left the UK. Maxine has him pitch perfect, sent him over to Mert. And, you know, Mert's a great man to have a dog. He got this dog out of traps. He ran well with the promise of a lot more to come. I think from the draw, I will be sticking with Ballymac Axel, but I wouldn't be taking a short price.
No, I actually went to look at obviously the video. The video wasn't there, was it, for Brickhill Moana? So I didn't know that, and I actually thought that Solo and Go was really impressive in the early pace department. He was all out my near the line, and I actually thought, because Ollie has got a little bit. There could be a little bit of squeezing up on the inside, so I had to side with Ballymac Axel, because I actually thought that Ballymac Axel only broke okay. Then I thought he actually showed early pace, and like you said, I think in commentary, this fella's strong. Do you know what I mean? So I think you've got plenty going for you with Ballymac Axel, and again, you know, the good draw, and draws win races. So he'd be my selection there. But yeah, you're probably right. You probably want nearer 2-1 than anything else.
Yeah. And then to the last of the heats. But for the fact that the dogs on his immediate inside have sensational early speed, you'd have to say Cheap Sandwich is probably one of the best drawn dogs of the year. You know, there's only one direction Carrick Skulls going in, that's left. Epic Ace is there. As we said, he's not the most reliable trapper, so he's going to have the door closed on him. He's 5-2 at the moment, Epic Ace. I think I'd want 4-1. I'll be honest, because if the door is closed on him and he's got early speed in both his flanks, he's going to really struggle for room early. Whereas Cheap Sandwiches will have room. It's just a case of whether he can show his swagger, because he's going to need to be doing things right to lead up the likes of Carrick Skulls unanimously, and indeed Epic Ace. But I think at around sort of, he's 6-4 in a place. Cheap Sandwiches, I don't think he'd be that big on the night. I think he's the most likely winner.
Yeah, and you're right, because they've all got good speed. I mean, Cheap Sandwich is just class, isn't he? To get to an Irish Derby final and an English Derby final, that, you know, you don't need anyone to tell you. But what he did was last week, he kind of just cut the bend a little bit, and he just got the little knock. But he rode it well, to be fair. I mean, you can mark that down as a much better run than it is on paper. I did go back and watch Epic Ace against Carrick Skulls. They met on June the 6th in Shelbourne over 5-2-5 from exactly the same boxes. But you're right, Epic Ace didn't really start, and Skulls, he broke okay, and he showed his early, and as you say, he's coming across. He's another one, might be though, if he's got a dog on his inside, it won't be as violently moving across in a diagonal line. I think
he made a move back to the middle on Friday night, where he looked like he was going for the 1, and a dog was there, and he stuck back out to 3, and he was happy there.
Yeah. I just
it's a great heat. It's probably the deepest quality in terms of the heats.
He's got great early, hasn't he, the Skulls as well. So so it'll be good. It'll be good to see him in a buckle down the far side. I must admit, you know, the three of them, they're all got really nice speed. But as you say, I suppose you think Epic Ace is not always that consistent, but he's got good enough pace to be up there with him. If he did what he did for Bocco's Diamond, he can certainly do that to Cheap Sandwiches. So yeah, I mean, listen, I hope they all come round and they get a clear run. So that is a heat to savour, I must admit.
A watching brief. On to Heat 9. I've already said I think Bombay Pat is. I just love his makeup. I just can't see how he doesn't emerge a pretty comfortable winner. Ballymac to bet is starting obviously much better than he used to. It's just when he goes to accelerate, it's not quite there like it is with other dogs. But he really stays at the line. He'll stay much further. He stays 600 yards plus, and he'll be coming hard in the closing stages. Fay Point Ranger's just not there yet. He looks like a dog that he got 4 runs off. Whether he'll ever run over the 550 yards like he did over the 525-yard trip at Limerick, we have yet to see. But he's got a draw. That's the one thing I will say about Fay Point Ranger. He's definitely got a draw. But I'd be mighty surprised if Bombay Pat didn't win. And even at the 8-15 now, he was 4-6. I don't think that'll last. I think he'd be 2-5, 3 on.
Yeah, no, I think 8-15 is fair. I know it's short, but I still think it's fair. You're right. I think it'd be shorter. Yeah.
He's 10 Hackney Corner. I think we're both fairly strong at this fella. He's 4-7, and you're thinking to yourself, 4-7. God, he ran well in the open round, but then you look through it and go, well, he beats that, he beats that, he beats that, and he beats that. The Other Wild is still not the dog he looked like he was earlier in the year, but it's coming. It is coming. I'd be afraid, like if I did back Hackney Corner, this Other Wild would flash out and get to the front because it could be a different animal on the bunny. But I was blown away by Hackney Corner tonight, how comfortable it looked. Yes, he only wins by a head, but it's Ballymac to bet he's holding. Like he's long odds against at the third bend with Ballymac to bet on his tail. He got there, but the manner in which he quickened up, the way he runs those opening 2 bends, he's now put a little bit of weight on him. He's 70 pounds. He ran it the other night. Just looked absolutely so comfortable in his own skin. He's very hard to beat from trap 1.
Very hard. And I'll tell you another negative for the Other Wild is Cushy the Best, because he ain't too slow either, and he never came out. He never came out in the first round, so he could actually be there at the turn as well, or near them at the turn, if you get what I mean. If Hackney Corner breaks, he'll get up inside and he'll lead, and that'll be good night. But I know you kept raving about the Other Wild. I'm not quite as enthusiastic as you, and I do think he's got a little bit of a hazard in Cushy the Best inside him, because I think
he's more of a project dog for me now than he was even last week. You know what I mean? He's a lot to prove. On to Heat 11, where at the moment it's 5-2 the field. Phoenix, Memphis, Callaway, Kinnegare. Listen, Callaway Kinnegare is a class animal. He's won a juvenile derby, 3rd in last year's derby. But on last week's form, you couldn't, like, if you dropped in and you'd never seen these dogs before and you do a line through them, you wouldn't back them at 8-1 in this race. From the draw, Phoenix Memphis is perhaps the most likely pace setter up the inside. I just thought the way they priced it with Callaway Kinnegare taking up a fair bit of the percentage, that there is a bit of value there. Lenny's Madge is around the 4-1 chance. She ran into traffic last night. She may well do so again. She's bred for the coursing field. She has loads of gears. She's probably better off in better company. She'd run quicker. But just a 10-1 in places. KG Billy just could run well. I might just, if it got to the stage where on the exchange they were, even if KG Billy was 8-1 or 10-1 on the exchange and Madge was around 9-2, I might have a small Dutch in the pair, because it's not a race I want to get too heavily involved in, but I just thought both of them, there was a little bit of juice there.
Yeah, I'll put this in the too difficult tray.
Yeah. Now that's sort of where I'm at. You know what I mean? I'm trying to find an angle and I'm struggling.
Yeah.
Anyway, a 10-1, you can't go wrong. A small nibble on a dog.
Exactly, yeah.
On to Heat 12, Proper RS. He's a worthy favourite, but it's just not straightforward. Ballymac stood, first run over 550 yards last week, ran well, ran hard to the third bend, didn't find an awful lot off the hump turn, but still only beaten 2 lengths by his very classy kennel companion. Lemon Joey, I thought, ran very well in defeat. He's out in trap 6. Magical on Fire, she had to win her heat twice. She looked as plucky and as game as you want. She has loads of boot. She outpaced Rural Pest down the back straight. That's a hell of a performance. And even the Doctor at 16-1, I'm sure he'll have a few nibbles. I won't be one of them, because I think something will get loose. If Proper ARS gets on the bunny, he's going to be very, very difficult to beat. But he's going to need to be on the bunny here, PL, because you're not going to back run too many of these.
No, you're right. Again, it's not a straightforward task. The thing is that you as I say, you think with Proper ARS, he does seem to be a natural breaker, doesn't he? He just seemed to claim the rails. When he claims the rails, he's difficult. He's just difficult to beat. Magical on Fire, she ran really well. Ballymac Stud, I thought was kind of running over the back of Danica a little bit, and you can mark him up as a better effort than that. As you say, he's probably got to lead to win. And Lemon Joey's another dog I've been following his career, and he's there's a lot to like about him as well. So that again, there'll be some disappointing connections here, because this is a hot heat. It's a hot heat.
Yeah. There's at least two really top class greyhounds going out of this contest, and that's the truth of it. That's where we're at with this derby. Like, it's deep enough. Like, that's 4 or 5 heats now where we've mentioned there's 4 or 5 dogs in contention, and they can't all get through, as you say.
Yeah.
For the sake of the competition, I think we're both hoping the Proper Heiress gets through, and I think most are, because it adds just that little bit of, an added element, shall we say. Heat 13, we've already spoken about our pal Balnabola Joe. Listen, he can win it 2-1 on. I won't be on, but I think he's very much so the likely winner. He should lead Uptown Lucky. Even if he tied his legs together, he'd probably lead Uptown Lucky. Dara Sidney wants in. Barefoot and Song doesn't. She has litter pups on the ground. She's not as sharp as she once was. Harry Houdini he's racing too high a grade, and Mairead's Diamond has yet to repeat that debut performance. It's Balnabola Joe, right? I wouldn't put off anyone putting him into accumulators or something like that, but at 2-1, I won't be backing him.
No, I'm going to watch him and cheer him on. I won't be betting him now.
Heat 14, Rural Pest is favourite. I'm I was cool. I warmed to him. I cooled on him. I warmed to him, and I'm cooling again. I don't think he likes when a dog gets up his inside. Do you know that, PL? That's 2 runs in a row where he's in a perfect position to even to challenge, and it slipped away from him too easily.
Oh yeah, I was disappointed with him. I thought he was stronger than he showed, unless he just chucked it. I don't really know, but I thought he might be just one of those that likes to be on the front. He just prefers to be on his own. You're right, but he's got some fast dogs in opposition. Colours of Green's a quick dog, and Toolmaker King. So there's plenty of pace in the race. Again, I was surprised he was quite so short. I've got to tell you. And I can't believe that. I think Toolmaker King's 5-1. I don't know why he's 5-1. I thought it was big.
Yeah, I wish Colours of Green and Toolmaker King were reversed. I'd be on one of the pair. Probably
that's why it's 5-1, if you get what I mean. But
yeah, I will end up probably getting on the side of Colours of Green if the price is right. He got all sorts of damage early the other night. His kennel companion was driving in top in Boyle Sports Blue. I think there's a big run bubbling under the surface. It's been coming. I just wouldn't be surprised if he popped out and did a 29.50, and that's good enough to win this heat. Toolmaker King, he's not staying unless he's on the bunny. He's that type of dog at the moment. He's still young. He's still a project. He's only in October. Same as Colours of Green. But he'll need a flying start. As it is, Rural Pest, we know so he couldn't dismiss them. The fact that Toolmaker King and Colours of Green, there's potential for them to rub shoulders, will sort of see people coming for Rural Pest, but once bitten, twice shy, I think is my sort of scenario there. Colours of Green could be the value option. At this moment in time, it's more of a watching brief, but that could change depending on how the odds go. I'm surprised that Hackney Tango is shorter in places than Toolmaker King, I must say.
Yeah, I just wrote down there were 3 runners. I looked at the prices and I wrote down I'd probably play 3 and 4 against 5, and but it would be small stakes,
Yeah, the penultimate heat of the round is the heat where if I wasn't commentating on it, I'd probably be going for a cup of tea. It's tricky. Hope's Teddy, the Easter Cup winner, got to the front the last night, but it just doesn't seem to be the Hope's Teddy he was. He's had lots of little issues and niggles and stuff. Listen, he can well come on for the run, but he's going to need to come on 5 lengths for it. Ballymac Lake is a project dog. He's very much next year's greyhound. He's a big price for this heat. Just wouldn't be surprised if he ran well. Westway Ross is always very, very capable. If she takes a flyer, which she's capable of, she certainly deserves to be right up there at the top of the betting. Triangle Brando's a big price for a reason. Highview Plan is a big price for a reason. He's no early. He'll be finishing like a train. Magical Sapphire does have a great makeup. And I didn't know what way to price it. I think I originally went 9-4, and I think I ended up at 5-4, and I could be anywhere in between.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, she stays really well, so she just needs to get herself with a pitch. Yeah, Ballymac Lake again. He was in the Corcoran race, and I think he's going to turn out to be maybe a 600-yard dog here. Would you say?
he's more of an all-rounder, shall we say. He's not brilliant to the corner. He's not flying down the back, and he doesn't finish like a train, but he just does it all well. And like that, sometimes they do need the longer run to the corner. Even if they don't
Yeah,
need the trip, they need the longer run to the corner so they can, against a slower type dog, get on the bunny and dominate. And he could well be that type of dog.
yeah.
But he's definitely one for next year, I think, rather than this
I
year.
think you're
just
right.
get that sense
Yeah.
from him. The Heat 16. This is another one of my bets. I've had a bet in this race. So they've installed Droopy's Deploy as the early favorite, but I think he's now been sort of joined at that mark. In fact, he's not even favored in one or two places with Sword Style. Gone favorite. They've obviously come for him. He flashed out. He justified our faith and my faith in him the other night. I thought he was an absolute certainty from the draw and did everything right. It was over after a stride. I was delighted to get 5-2 in the first round. It returned 8-11. That'll do me. One of them a week, PL. That's all I'm asking for. It's not too much, is it? He's 5-2 again. That's perfectly fair. Droopy's Deploy at the early odds, I wouldn't have him on my mind. He's one win since February. He's had plenty of opportunities. The other night, he's a hot favorite. Really, he just never played a part. Like he just didn't run well. You know what I mean? Simple as that. He's not a dog you can depend on. Magical Keith is terrific early speed. He's just not getting home. Droopy's slick. He's going to soon join a couple of the others in the notebook. He's one of those dogs where he's proven costly to follow. I think he needs a confidence builder. He needs to get loose some night. It's unlikely to happen here. Badly behaving probably just doesn't get home well enough. But No More 50s is the one I've backed at around 11. I think it was 11-2 I got. He's a bit shorter than that now. He's not crazy short. He's still 9-2. I like his makeup in the fact that he just couldn't get around from 4 and 3 the last two nights. Look and Lep took him out of it in both occasions. And you got the sense where the second night he was going, I'm in the same position. I'm going to get done again. From the inside, trap 1, I think there's every chance this dog could run very well. He showed loads of foot the other night, forced to check at the third bend, flew down the back, and just the prices available, I'd be having disputing favoritism, if not favorite. So No More 50s for me, PL. That's where I'm at.
Look, I've done the Friday night card from top to bottom, and I had kind of rushed because I've got obviously till the rest of the week to do Saturday's card. But I've gone through it, and when I was looking Lep's race, I went, "Who's that?" No More 50s, because he was driven mad and he was trying to show speed. My one little niggle in the race is, has he got as much as Magical Keith? Because I like this. Obviously, he's turned the Magic On's brother, isn't he? Magical Keith. So, and again, he's probably just struggling to see the 550 as you would expect our dog to as well. But they met, didn't they? Sword Style and Magical Keith, and Magical Keith now has gone to the third bench, 1706 and 1709. So, can No More 50s actually get inside him? But I suppose at 11-2, you're prepared to find out. Again, it's a good value play.
And Sword Style looks like he wants to be drawn in the middle. So there's a chance he could be there with Magical Keith, just holding him up. No More 50s could be, rather than being pushed off the corner, he could be the one doing the pushing off on the corner.
Yeah. No, I get that. No, you're right. Droopy's Deploy isn't quite the same dog as he was. Droopy Slick has completely and utterly lost all of his early. He's not breaking. He's just getting outpaced. And I was quite surprised. You should say that was in that same No More 50s race. So yeah, probably after this I'll go back and have a little bit of a better study in this, but I'll probably be joining you with No More 50s, and I might just save on Magical Keith because I was just worried whether Sword Style, because now he's not in track 1, whether he would actually get the run through that he needs. Because he's definitely staying strong, isn't he? He's staying really well, Sword Style.
He's just a good solid greyhound Sword Star. You know what I mean? Our Sword Style. He just starts his stage. He's just doing it right. He's just a nice dog. He's thoroughly genuine. It's just a case of when things get a bit classier, the class is deeper. That's when he'll be put under pressure.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's it. 16 heats, PL. I have to ask you, Napa next best? Or anything that you recommend the bigger prices?
Patriot. Yeah, Droopy's Patriot in the first. I'm quite happy to be betting him around 5-4. And I would have thought a good double on the Saturday would be Bombay Pat and Hackney Corner. They're short.
I think that's a perfectly fair double. I really do. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and again, I said to you, there's small little plays. I probably might get involved with Ballymac Axel, and I could easily save on Solo and Go, and probably Colours and Green and Until Make a King on the Saturday. So they would kind of be some of the plays. Maybe Magical Mag as well at around 2-1, Ian, on the Friday. So I think she's got a good makeup. I'm just taking on. You say if you do that and she shortens, and then your man Da gets bigger on the exchange, you can do the bit of business there as well. So yeah.
No, I'm with you. I think the juice.
Looking forward to this.
The juice, there's still a bit of juice there. Bombay Pat, he's obviously very, very short, but I just think he's guaranteed winner. And you could do worse than maybe sticking with the doubles with something like a no more 50s or Headley's Trump, just a great draw on the inside. So they'd be like Bombay Pat is obvious, you know. I just think at the prices, like I wouldn't normally tip him up because if he was priced correctly, he'd be considerably shorter than he is. So Bombay Pat. And then the other two at much bigger prices, Headley's Trump and no more 50s. And that's it. 51 minutes and 18 seconds, PL. I was going to say we're getting shorter, but I decided we might as well look at the 16 heats. You can come and go if you wish and come back to us, whatever. But that's it. 16 heats of the second round of the Boyle Sports Irish Grand. We have to mention Untold Rufia is a non-runner. Did I mention that in the heat itself? So the heat price isn't... At that point, I think the market's already been altered, but you're not officially a non-runner in Ireland until weigh-in, so that's just worth keeping in mind. But all the firms have been informed, and I think they've taken them out. There's no reserve going in or anything like it. So, PL, the Derby continues. Same time next week?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Don't forget, folks, Pod 50. Join Matchbook. Bet £50, get £50 back as a free bet. And of course, the Track Club. Bet £30 over the Monday to Thursday. Get £10 back on the Friday for the weekend's action. Up to yourself. What you stick it on. But again, check out all the further details on the Track Club on the website itself. But that's it from us on the Boyle Sports Irish Greyhound Derby podcast with Matchbook Betting Exchange. Don't forget, stick with the exchanges the last few moments before the race. You'll be getting some serious value, backing and laying. That's all. We all like to play bookbreaker every now and again. Don't forget that. I'll be back next week with PL. My thanks again to the master who had a very good winner. He mentioned it there, turned the magic on the other night. Who knows? He might be hoping for a bit of magic with this fellow in the future. We might be talking about an English Derby contender next year. You never know. Finds a yard or two more stamina. He certainly has the early speed. But that's it for us this week. We'll see you 7 days from now.